Hey everyone, and welcome back to Master Your Life Beyond the Founder. I'm your podcast host, Luke Beastall, and I have an international guest joining us today from Knoxville, East Tennessee. His name is Scott Rust. Now, he's not rusty by any means, because I'm just going to share this in a second. I don't even know why that come out. That he's a mental mechanic. So his tools are well oiled. I just thought I'd just put that out there. I don't even know if he's even had this before, but it just literally popped into my head. But we've just had a conversation beforehand, and I really think that this conversation that we're going to have today, and we're going to dive deep into his story, is going to be more than just valuable. I think it's going to really take people into a world of imagination. And I already know that just from having a brief chat with him. So, look, he works with people in the mental health space. I'm sure we're going to dive into it. He's an actor as well, so he's got a way with his words, but he's going to be very open today in this conversation. So, look, Scott, welcome to our show.
Luke, it's lovely to be here. I appreciate you, and thank you for all of that. I need that minute to be saved somewhere so I can just put it into other stuff for me. I'll be like, hey, I don't need to do my introductions. Let Luke do it. Luke did great. It's perfect.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, I just roll it. You know me. I just sort of like roll it off the cuff, just give it a go and see where it goes. But look, I think the best place. I mean, already I'm curious, because when you said this, you show me sort of your like business card and stuff, and how that mental mechanic had sort of been the branding for you, that sort of anchor for you. Where did that come from? Because I think that's genius.
I was told in part of the training that I got from the company that gave me the certification, they're Transform Destiny, good people. I was basically told, if you say something where people can put you in a box because they already know what you do, they will have no follow-up questions, and they will either not care at all, or they will know immediately what they need you for, and that's it. And that's fine if they know they need you. If they don't know that they need you, they will not ask any follow-up questions, and they will also never remember you at all. So come up with something more memorable. So I was like, so what does that mean? Well, that means don't tell people that you're a hypnotist, because people know what that means, or they think they know what that means, and they have lots of negative associations with that. And instead, come up with something unique, come up with something different, put your own spin on it. So I was kicking around 2 or 3 different ideas when I was thinking about it originally, and I came up with the thought of psychonaut, which I decided against because it has the word psycho in it, and people might not have heard the whole thing. Or they might think, wait, you're a mental astronaut? How does that work? And I was like, nah, okay, we'll avoid the space thing. So then I came up with mental mechanic, and I was like, oh, I like that picture. I like everything about that. It works really well for me. Because if we talk about, there's a song, Life is a Highway. So if we believe that, and a lot of people do, then what is our vehicle? We go down the highway of life with our mind, with our body, with our spirit, with our soul, whatever word we want to use for it. And if we know that, and we think about vehicles, and we think about the highway, then we also sometimes need to think about, hey, what are we doing to maintain that? Do we have anybody who's giving us kind of a checkup? So we're all very good about going to doctors, and people believe in, Western medicine for the most part, or people believe in their own particular medicines, and they believe in taking care of their body.
Yep.
Not as many people are always quite as thoughtful about taking care of their actual thoughts and what they're thinking. So going with the mental mechanic aspect of it, I was like, here, get off the highway, come down here, get tuned up, get a check-in, get everything, get your check thinking light turned back off, and you'll be okay, get some upgrades, and then get back on the road, and you can keep going. It doesn't matter which tools I use, because people don't care which tool I'm using. They care about, do I get back on the road, and am I safe to keep going? And the answer is yes. That's all they need. So for a lot of folks, it's that simple. They need like a basic kind of tune-up, and their check thinking light is on, because they're driving around with the same story, the same thoughts, the same basic understanding of where things are in their minds that they were originally given right off the factory line, which I'm like, how long have you been driving this vehicle? How long have you been thinking this thought? How long have you believed that you're not good enough? Oh no, you've had that thought for 20 years. That's not great. Or, oh, you don't believe in yourself. Gee, I wonder when you picked that up, because it sounds like something that should have been found on the side of the road. That's not true. That's not good at all.
No, this is good. So I love this sort of analogy, and it's so relatable to a lot of us that are sort of, I mean, even for me listening in, and I'm sure the guys listening in, wherever they are in the world, will sort of relate to it. I'd just love to know though, Scott, because obviously you know this, right? You're an expert in this now. Obviously you're still learning, but where did this all?
Learning.
Yeah, where did this all like come from? Like, where did that idea stem from to be like, I want to go into the space of mental health?
So there are two answers to that. The first one is what got you into hypnosis specifically, because that's one of the tools that I like and use the most.
Okay.
And that was a freshman year experience in college when I was just turned like late 18, early 19, around in there. And I was in an ROTC program. So there was mandatory fun. The Reserve Officer Training Corps is something that America does where they have certain people in college age who then sign up to be in something that is sort of almost like the military for a little while, because if they go through it all through school, then they might also go through actual military training and be part of the armed forces in one form or another. I ended up not doing that, as people can probably tell from the very long beard and the hippy-dippy hair, but for freshman year, I was young and naive and didn't know what I was doing or not doing, and I was still figuring things out. So one of the mandatory fun activities was you are going to go to this show in the gym, and you are going to be pleasant, and you are going to be respectful, or you are going to stay here in the barracks and do push-ups. Thank you, I'll go. So I went to the show, and the guy brings on his volunteers, and it's a stage hypnotist. And he brings on this one guy who stands in my brain forever now, because he was at least like 350 pounds. I mean, he was a great big dude. And when he went under, he fell out of his chair and he hit the ground with enough of a thud that it moved my seat in the audience. I was like, oh, that's not a paid actor. Paid actors pratfall. Paid actors catch themselves. He fully just thud. I was like, wow. I winced. I was, wow. Ooh, are you okay, man? So 5 minutes later, he's back in his seat. 10 minutes later, he gives the guy the suggestion, okay, you're the OBGYN on call. The woman next to you is giving birth, and it's time to deliver the baby. Ready? Go. He jumps up and he's screaming for the nurse. He's running for the AED and the first aid kit on the wall of the gym. We're all like, whoa, hold on. And he really thinks he's about to deliver a baby. Crazy time.
Yeah.
We get to the end of the show, and he puts everybody back under, and the hypnotist tells people, okay, I don't want any of you following me with any complaints or whining or arguing, and so none of you are going to remember anything until you get out the front door. When you get out the front door, you'll remember all of it, but none of you are going to remember anything until you get out the front door, because I'm parked out back, and I'm leaving. And he takes his bows and he wakes them up, and they're all a little confused, but everybody's applauding and clapping and very happy, and he leaves. The hypnotist is out the door. So this guy's friends rush him at half court. They're really excited. They're so entertained. That was so funny. That was so crazy. That was so stupid. That was wild. And the whole time, he's got the most blank face. He looked like he was a mannequin head. What are you talking about? What happened? What's going on? When does the show start? Where did the guy go? What's going on? What happened? What time is it? Doesn't remember anything.
Wow. That's
he gets
insane.
to the front door, and it's a full threshold moment, like vampires can't go indoors, of just him being inside the gym. What are you talking about? What happened? What's going on? When did the show start? Where did the guy go? He hits the door, and his first words are, holy shit, it worked? What the fuck? And I see the moment when the lights come back on and he's actually awake, and it's just like, oh, wow, that's crazy. So immediately I learned 3 things. Number 1, it's real. Number 2, it can be learned. So number 3, I have to go learn this. I have to go learn right now.
Yeah, he was
And
like,
I
I'm
go
on this.
home that
Yeah.
night and I start studying like crazy.
Where
So
did you start with that though? Like,
with the wonders of the internet, of course, with
yeah.
Google, with articles, with the basic YouTube videos, with tutorials, with finding WikiHows and all sorts of different anything and everything I can find of just consuming how does this work and what makes it work and what are all of the things that make the brain tick in this way that makes that possible. Because the guy only spoke to them. He didn't have a watch. He didn't have to swing a pendulum. There wasn't some mind control ray. He just talked. He talked and he snapped his fingers sometimes and he had a couple of words and that was it. And there was like tapping on the shoulder. I'm like, there's no way that that's real. And then I get outside and I see this guy's lights come back on as he's just awake, suddenly realized everything that happened in the past 90 minutes. And I'm like, huh, okay. Well, it's hard to deny that it's real, but I don't understand how it works yet. So I go home and I start researching like crazy because I just had to figure it out. I had to. And it was fascinating stuff to learn. So there's that aspect of the question. And then the other aspect is a lot easier and a lot faster to answer. I'm a preacher's kid and an actor, and I learned very early that I was not cut out to become a preacher because I don't have that kind of patience with lots of different things. So how do you help people when you have been raised always to be helpful and kind and caring and giving and all of this other stuff, while also figuring out how to keep enough sanity for yourself to be like, no, I'm going to be okay. Whatever else is going on, I'm going to be all right. And finding that space led me through the idea of, hey, I had to go to therapy. Hey, I still recommend other people should go to therapy. I don't do therapy. I do hypnosis and what's called NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming, and EFT, which is the tapping. There's lots of tools, and all of it that really matters comes back down to the question of, hey, I've been grinding my gears on something for a long time. What's wrong with me? And I'm like, whoa, hold on. Let's figure out what's grinding your gears and then oil the machine a bit and you'll be fine. You don't, whatever the issue is, it doesn't have to be forever. It usually has to be, there's something stuck in here that just won't go away. And it's like, okay, well, let's figure it out and then get the screwdriver or the pliers and
This is so good, Scott. I appreciate you sharing it, and I really like the fact that you actually gave the explanation of the experience of what actually happened. Because I mean, even I was sort of, yeah, I think that's like one of those you have to be there in the moment to sort of feel it, believe it. Especially like you say when the lights came on and when it's got outside. So so just so we can understand and I can understand our audience, that moment there was that was the pivotal one for you to go, I've got it. I want to do this. Was it, or was the an itch before?
That was the moment when I knew that hypnosis was real and therefore could be a skill that I could pick up. And then later, I said I have been a preacher's kid, and that's always been true. However, I have also been a teacher a couple of times because I taught to Chinese students when I was in China, teaching them English. And then again, a couple of years ago, I got the chance to go to Spain and taught there for an academic year. And I love getting to work with kids, but I also figured out that a lot of people in general, not just at the younger ages, still have a lot of problems. And figuring out that it's something that can be worked on or can be changed, and it's not something that has to be passed down generationally. It's not something that has to be inflicted on everybody around you all the time. It's something that can be dealt with was something that made me understand. I was like, oh, you mean this deep pit of anger that I've felt since I was 15 doesn't have to just live there in my gut forever? Oh, fascinating. This powerful sadness that I feel about the state of things and the way the world is something that can be lived through, and not just lived through, but then changed and looked at differently. How interesting. Tell me more about that. Because as soon as I started picking up those things, I was like, oh, this is something that needs to be shared throughout the world. This is a fundamental shifting of perspective, and it would be great if it was taught to children at the younger ages, but kids' brains aren't developed in such a way that they can always have that level of empathy or understanding or a grasp of, like, symbolism, for example. We have to teach them that. So the adults have to learn the big lessons as well. And if we're able to get those things ingrained, then suddenly it will open up doors to tons of other things. That's the real goal. I want to move in the direction of making the world a better place where everybody learns and believes in learning lifelong, not just school. That's not where the majority of my education came from anyway, but let's be fair. Everybody needs more than just school.
I agree. I like this, and I love the fact that you've obviously been around different people, different ages as well. Well, I mean, look, Scott, there's so many different paths I can go down here with regards to, like, questions I've got. I'd just love to know, though, when was that moment in, the career of what you're doing now that you just was like, this is for me. I just know this is what I'm great at. When did it all click?
Several years ago, before I even made it professionally, before I was even doing this as a job,
right,
there was a friend who reached out who was having issues with weight, with smoking, with vaping, with
addictions,
drinking, with their self-image and self-worth, and with self-harming. Now, we did not fix all of that in a day.
Sure.
But in 13 days, we had broken a 13-year addiction to cigarettes. She was fully done with smoking. She didn't touch it again for another 3 years plus. I was so ecstatic. And she told me one afternoon that she had had trouble the night before with cooking. And I was like, what do you mean? What happened? And she said, my hand wouldn't hold a knife. And I was like, oh, I understand. I did that because I told you that you literally wouldn't be able to do something that would be dangerous or harmful to yourself until you understood why you were doing it. And your body kept that suggestion and just didn't let it go. So you literally couldn't pick up the knife because you had been self-harming. And she was like, well, that's great. Now, can you fix it? Because I need to cook dinner. And I was like, yes, we can change that. That's fine. But also, you really have to not do it, because if I take this back out and you start cutting, that's going to be a problem. And she was like, yes, no, I understand. That's fine. Thank you. And we fixed it. But that was still a moment of just the radical shift in difference from all of these issues that my friend had been going through to suddenly having that light bulb moment of just, oh, the world can be better, life can be different, and it doesn't have to be this way.
Yeah.
That was a euphoria that will never leave my bones. That's what made me an addict in my own way to this, instead of just like, no, I have to do this. I have to be helping people. I have to be trying to do something. I was given a challenge when I was in 8th grade to read 2 books, Don Quixote and Pride and Prejudice. And I read through both of them. Pride and Prejudice took me longer than Don Quixote. So to say that I am quixotic is incredibly common, and something that I take with certain pride, really, because that's just deeply ingrained. That's always been part of what I am and who I am and how I do things.
I love it, Scott. I think just how you've, I mean, that in itself is a dramatic shift, right? Just the 13 years of addiction. Obviously, there's quite a few addictions you shared there. For it to be diminished in 13 days, I mean, that is what a feeling, for both. And the fact that it wasn't all fixed, like you had to do a bit of extra work after, but that experience there before you sort of went into the professional world was a great sort of case study. But I mean, I don't know.
Like I said, that was before I did it professionally. Now I know how to do that even better, even faster. Yeah, I have fixed smoking in 90 minutes.
That's mad. That's crazy. That's crazy. And what's the sort of like? So I mean, not trying to just go into like smoking avenue, but for someone who's a regular smoker or a vapor, I don't know if it's the same or not in your what you do.
Okay. It is.
So what's not giving your like secrets away, but what's the key?
I'll do it. That's fine.
Yeah. What is sort of like the key problem that they're still on it, and then what's the big thing that you sort of? I know it's hard.
The number one shift is a question of identity. The layers of the mind doesn't just go with conscious and subconscious. There are a couple of different parts and pieces that, why I say mental mechanic. Yeah, we've got our engine, we've got our transmission, we've got our alternator. There's a ton of different parts in our brain that are working together sometimes and sometimes not. But the identity layer is the deepest layer of self. If we're attacked about our results on something, hey, why didn't you get this report finished? We're like, sorry, I didn't, there was something going on, whatever. That's one aspect of it. If somebody comes for you personally, you're a bad father. Whoa, what? That's on a level of attack that people will not listen to. That gets shut down so hard because you get so defensive because it's core to you. It's at a deep level. So the identity shift is the biggest change. If somebody is a smoker and they say they want to be a non-smoker or they want to be an ex-smoker, then the thing to do is to help them understand how to make that shift in their own mind from being a stick shift manual transmission of just, you have to push the clutch, you have to make sure that you're changing gears, you have to make sure that you are going down the road this way, to an automatic transmission where it's just put it in gear and drive. That simplicity, that shift, that ease has to come from the understanding of not being an ex-smoker or not being somebody who is a smoker who is struggling, because that in and of itself, in our mind, gives us the language of struggle, fight, resistance, pain. It hurts. Shifting to non-smoker, even if somebody is a non-practicing non-smoker, because they're doing badly at it, shifting to being a non-smoker will fundamentally make that easier every time, all the time. Anybody who wants to quit needs to start by saying, I'm a non-smoker. Doesn't matter if they still have a cigarette in their hand. I'm a non-smoker. We have people who are not practicing Catholics all the time, and we still let them claim to be Catholics. That's fine. Nobody cares. That's what they want to label themselves with. So if somebody takes on the label of being a non-smoker, first and foremost, then all of the things that drive them towards smoking will slowly start to disappear, because that's not what a non-smoker does. That's what a smoker does. If they're a smoker who wants to quit, our brains are not great at quitting. We don't like to quit. Quitters don't win. We want to be winners. All of this other stuff that goes along with it. Our language and the world that we live in is very much structured to be like, no. Once you do something, you got to keep going. You got to keep doing it. That's the way to win. That's the way to get there. That's all of this other stuff. It's just like, if you don't stop and take a deep breath and pause and look around, you're going to get somewhere, all right. But that doesn't mean you're going to get where you want to go. That's totally different. If you haven't looked at the map in 4 or 5 years, how are you going to know when you get where you wanted to be?
Yeah. It's, I mean, to be honest, the identity piece, I love that though, Scott, because I think it's so key. I mean, do you know what? It's quite interesting because obviously this platform in a whole is very much about I sort of like connecting to your identity, to your true self, being authentic, and beyond like sort of just maybe an addiction or an attachment. Say for us as founders and running our own business can be our business, right? Like our identity is our business, and we don't really do much sort of beyond that. It's very much like, because obviously you probably take on so much weight from the people that you have conversations with. So just from my perspective, that like when you have these conversations, what do you do as a mental mechanic to help you get back on the highway for yourself?
What do I do? One, I check in every morning. There are 3 alarms on my phone. One's for
Okay.
6:30, one's for 7:15, and one's for 7:30. And I'm almost never actually woken up by the 6:30 alarm. But when I am, that's still the morning wake up to be like, okay, here we go. We're here, we're awake, we're going to check in. At 7:15, I then make sure, if I haven't already done everything else that needed to get done for the morning, of taking time to breathe, taking time to relax, taking time to check in, taking time to do some writing and journaling and thinking about, here's what the day ahead of me has, here's what this week is supposed to hold, all of this other stuff, then 7:15 to 7:30 is a self session. I do the hypnosis on myself all the time. It's very easy.
Okay.
It's very fun. I check in on where I'm going, where I want to be, what I am doing to make those steps happen, what the next step is, what the end goal is, all of those parts and pieces to make sure that everything is moving in the right direction, and to make sure that I am actually moving, not just feeling stuck or grinding my gears or sitting there spinning my wheels, all of those wonderful metaphors that
Yeah.
I love that work so well with mental mechanics of just getting momentum, building up a head of steam. And then 7:30 I can actually go up and start the day. Whatever it is that needs to get done, it starts at 7:30.
Brilliant. So what could you share what happened this morning? What was your day like this morning? What came to your mind?
For this morning, the initial thought was Tumblr has made a terrible mistake. And it was dealing with whatever social media's side of thing was, because they had tried to roll out an update that the user base did not like. But that's partially just the way that Tumblr works, because famously their user base does not make change well. we don't
Right.
like making shifts to anything. But most of the other thoughts were, okay, we know that we have these projects that we're working on. We know that we have these goals that we have set, and we know that the free trial on this particular software we were using is running out soon. So, number 1, what else can we get out of it? Number 2, what else do we need to do to make sure that when that fades, we are either ready to replace it or have decided to renew it? And then number 3, what else needs to happen today? Like, needs to happen today specifically. And it was checking the calendar. And it was, oh, I'm going to get to talk to Luke today. That should be great. Good stuff. Very good things. And other than that, it was a very peaceful morning. And I like to take things fairly slowly for that hour. There's a lot that the world might have going on, and I very specifically do not check it until after I go upstairs to actually start the day. At 7:30, I can look at AP, I can look at BBC, I can look at whatever else is going on, I can check in on the news, but until then, there is at least 1 hour where I am awake and I have my own peace to maintain, my own calm to take care of, that I just keep that well deep to make sure that I can pour out. Because if I run dry, I know that I will have a lot of other problems and I won't be helping anybody. and I don't want to deal with that.
This is good. I like it. You're sort of filling your own cup up first so that you can give to us. I like that. I like that you got the power hour, the sort of, I love the morning as well. I firmly believe, it sets you up and stuff. I like the sort of 3 alarms as well. I think just it's your way. It's your unique way of doing it. But just on the flip side, have you ever been dry? Like in terms of, have you ever abused those boundaries in a way?
Of course.
And yeah. Well, this is good to know because I think it's like, I just putting it from a perspective. Obviously, people think that, when we obviously are talking about business stuff, with everything's a-okay, everything goes planning, goals get hit, targets get hit. It's a bit of a, like I say, highlight reel, as we like to say. So just to give our audience context, and maybe for you to check in and reflect here as well, when was that moment? What started happening in your life? When just as a consequence for you doing that to yourself, I guess.
As a regular and recurring pattern of no less than 16 years now, February is the worst month of my year. Every year. Right. All the time. There is no way to fix it. There is no way to change it. It is always a bad 4 weeks. And it doesn't matter what it is that happens in those 4 weeks. It's the fact that the weather is kind of gray and cold. It's the fact that it's my mother's birthday and our relationship is strained. It's the fact that it's Valentine's holiday, which is also the first time I ever got broken up with, which was not great and left me with some deep problems about that holiday and around love and relationships and intimacy. But it's also just the month itself always seems like there is something bad that happens. It doesn't matter what else goes on. February is a bad time for things. It's where the New Year's resolutions die for a lot of people. Yeah. And it's also still winter, where it's like here in America, there's Groundhog Day, and people care about Punxsutawney Phil and whether or not there's going to be 6 more weeks of winter. It's like, there's always going to be 6 more weeks of winter, guys. It's February. There's 4 weeks of this, and there's 2 weeks in March, and then maybe by the 3rd week of March, it starts to become spring. But it's always going to be winter. And winter is a bad season for me. But
agreed.
I deal with that, and I brace for it thoroughly throughout January. And I just remind myself, especially in February, and especially for the next couple of weeks after February, 1, spring will come. Spring has always come every year. It has been coming for much, much longer than I have been around, or than my family has been around, or than any of us have been anywhere. There will always still be spring, and we have to hold on to that. And the other thing that helps so much when I know that those moments come and I am drained and I am empty and things are not good, is to do a sort of split focus. If the moment is not good, then what I need to do is not be in this moment. So that's okay. I can either look backward further and say, what happened 3 weeks ago? What happened 6 weeks ago? What happened 10 weeks ago that was better? And what maybe led to this? And where am I hitting this speed bump? Because most of the time, it's not that you got a flat tire all of a sudden. It's, oh, I haven't been checking in, and now my fuel light's on, and I haven't done anything to fix it, and I'm burning fumes, and I'm out of energy. Now I'm in trouble. When you got the warning signs 6 weeks before that, and you ignored them. Or I need to look 3 weeks out from now, 6 weeks out from now, 6 months out from now, and be looking to the future to say, okay, am I still on track? It doesn't matter if it's a bad day, because it's not a bad life, it's just a bad day. It matters that I look ahead to say, am I still moving in the right direction? One of the things that I am so jealous of Europe of is the rail system, because I desperately wish the US had anything that looked anything like really good high-speed rail. But one of the metaphors that comes from all of the training that I took is that the subconscious mind is a lot like the train of thought. literally, it's in our vocabulary already, the train of thought. It will keep going along whatever rail tracks have been laid. So if you check in, you can make sure that you're going the right direction. And if you want to get from Atlanta to New York, you need to be heading north. If you don't check in and you end up in San Francisco, then you have a problem because that's not where you were trying to go. But the train of thought doesn't know that. The train of thought doesn't care. The train of thought will keep going along whichever set of rails you have actually been laying track to. So if you take time to check back in and you say, oh, I realized something's wrong. I don't need to be going that way. I need to be going that way. All of a sudden, things will start moving that direction again, and you'll be back on track.
It's good. I mean, yeah, that's good. The train of thought as well. I mean, yeah, we say that quite commonly as well. I mean, that is so interesting, by the way. The fact that February is
in our language.
yeah, it is. But I think what sort of like really struck out to me is just that February. You know, I mean, obviously we're only just in March. I've never ever heard. I mean, obviously we get the winter blues. We have Blue Monday in England. I think it's like the third Monday in January, which is the most depressive Monday of the year. That's sort of like where most people, you know, have like a couple of weeks coming back into Christmas, all that stuff. So
yeah,
obviously you prepare yourself for this. It's something that you're not, like say, not used to. You know about it.
I brace for February hard every year.
Yeah. So obviously we've only just come out of February. So tell us what was it like this February in obviously 2026? Was it a tough one? Was it harder than usual? Was it different? Yeah.
Oh God, it was a tough one. Yeah. I mean, I think the February before in 25 was technically worse for a while because, and I'm not going to get strongly political on your show for a lot, but let's be very clear. Living in a Trump presidency is not a good time for anybody. He's a very bad president. He's not great at what he does. And
Facts.
so having the return to Trump after 4 years of being able to breathe was a very bad time. So this past one was just even deeper into that because, you know, he kidnaps the president of Venezuela and then he launches strikes on Iran. It's just like, God, can we please just, what are we doing? What are we doing? So that's rough in a very, very big picture scale. And then on a much smaller scale, there's just dealing with everything. My mother got into a car accident in the second week of February. She's fine. The car was totaled, and that led to a lot of other problems and logistics that had to be worked on and figured out. And there was a big upheaval in my business of trying to deal with things and thinking about whether or not I was ready to start hiring out some work and getting some other people onboarded for dealing with other things that I don't have the time for or don't want to focus on.
Yep.
And it ended up clashing with some other things. I was dealing with a lot, and February always feels like I am dealing with a lot. But there's always the reminder, spring will come, and just take deep breaths and keep going. Because the very most important thing is not to sit down and wallow in it, or to be allowed to sit in it, but only for a set amount of time. That's what I think the other thing that really helps me flip the switch is the most. Remembering that feelings are not the foe. Feelings are not your enemy. You're supposed to feel them. You are not supposed to let them run the show. They are very entertaining. They are very big. They are very loud. They are the clowns. If you let the feelings run the whole circus, things go badly. So you have to have something that keeps track of all of the different parts and pieces and makes sure that the whole show can continue running.
Yeah, I mean, that again is strong. I think I totally get where you're coming from with that. That's great that you've shared that as well. I'm glad your mum's okay, by the way.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Thank you.
There's nothing. Yeah, obviously February being that month and it falls in February. I mean, these things can't always be like say controlled, and it's like bang. It's mental.
You never expect the worst, but also I always expect February to do something to sucker punch me. That's just the way that is. And in one way, that's my own fault because I'm looking for it. I'm expecting it. I know that it's going to happen. So I'm always looking for February to be bad.
Yeah.
If I wanted to shift that, I could. But at the same time, I like it to be those 4 weeks and keep it contained to where the rest of the year I'm able to look up, I'm able to look around, I'm able to feel better, and I'm able to look forward to all of the good things. Because then at least it's just that section of winter is usually particularly dark and gray for me.
Same
and the rest of the year, I'm able to be a lot more of a ray of sunshine,
Yeah, but you know what, though? I mean, we are human at the end of the day, and, we have moments of feeling a little bit low. We can't be a buzz all the time. I mean, we had over here in the UK. I think it was the first 10 weeks. Yeah, first 8 weeks. Sorry, I think of the year. It had rained every single day in the UK, somewhere in the UK, every day. I mean, it was just relentless. And you're talking, you've got probably like 6 hours of daylight, and it's just great. So, totally. Yeah, it was pretty grim. But what I wanted to ask you anyway, obviously, look, you're a guy of feelings and thoughts, and obviously you understand it mechanically. You've got lots and lots of tools. I'd love to know what's been one of the hardest decisions you've had to make in your business that has given you the biggest reward that you probably wouldn't have thought at the initial.
Ooh. I think the biggest decision was thinking about whether to do a more online focused business or a more in-person focused business, because I've worked with both, and it can be great to do things one-on-one, in-person, real live human connection, that level of interaction. And I can do incredible and impressive things with hypnosis and all of these other tools on that level. But if I am only doing it on that level, at that very specific individualized level, then I run the risk of burnout, and there are only so many people you can help because there are only so many hours in the day. And so instead, making my focus online mainly. I still do in person. I still love to do in person when I can, but being able to help online meant that I was able to help a woman in the Philippines and another in Indiana, which is 2 states away from here, probably almost the length of the UK in space.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure just how far, but a very long distance off. I can be having this conversation with you in the middle of my afternoon, in your later evening.
Yeah.
I can do so much more with the power of tech, and all I had to do was grasp onto and be willing to learn all of the tech things that I learned, figure out a good microphone. It's not great, but it's good enough.
Yeah.
Figure out webcams, figure out green screens, and all of this other technology stuff that was not my wheelhouse, was not my bread and butter, was not my default, I love doing it, but is, once I learned it, way more valuable and way more useful than trying to figure out how to do everything individually one-on-one. I don't send out mailers. I don't have to go knocking on doors. I don't have to do the physical showing up every single time to try to find people individually to be like, hey, let me help you with this one specific problem that I already know that you have. It opened up the doors to do so much more. So the online versus in-person debate, figuring that one out was definitely the biggest shift in my business.
And has that happened recently? That's a good answer as well. I do like the way you spoke about that. Is that recent, or has that shift been going on for a bit of time now?
That came fairly early on. and I'm still working up to doing more in the online sphere, because there are more things that I know that I need to be doing that I'm not yet. But the bigger part of it happened at the very beginning, because I had a woman who wanted to do an in-person session, and she wanted it to be in her house. And I was like, okay, that's fine. If you're comfortable with that and you have your witness there, she had a roommate, so she was fine. She was comfortable. She knew that I would be okay and that she would be
Why
okay.
witness? Why witness? Just curious.
I don't need there to be one, but
Oh,
she
okay.
wanted to make sure that there was somebody there. And I was like, hey, that's
Okay.
great. That's
Okay.
cool. I hear you. That's good. So, you know, reasonable comfort and respectability, all of the different levels and layers of safety for her as a single woman, for me as a business owner and a professional who's
Yeah.
trying to do something that a lot of people don't know enough about or don't understand very clearly or have misconceptions about from Hollywood. Totally different thing. God help them. That's wild. But dealing with all of that, I went through it logistically and I was just like, okay, that was nice, but also it took almost double the amount of time, and I have to add on another hour of time driving there and back total. I was like, this took almost my entire afternoon, and I can't make it if I make every session like that, where
Sure.
I'm trying to run all over the county, and I can't find enough people just in the county to make sure that I'm going to make enough business. I need to shift, and I shifted very early on, because I had that one, and that one was very good. She's still a friend and a very good client, but the shift away from that to being online focused was almost instant from that moment of looking at it like, oh, that took 4 hours of my day. I don't know if
Totally.
I can make that happen that often.
Yeah, so no, this is good though. Actually, you sharing this because obviously you've made it quite clear, sort of like the problems and the solutions to the business on what it is that you love doing, and that you've obviously tested it. You've got feedback. You've been doing it. You've got the reps in, and you've sort of gone, okay, this is taking a lot of my time when I could possibly be transforming more lives or in a different way all over the world. Like you say, the accessibility factor of being online. You know, you've helped someone in the Philippines, you've helped somebody 2 states away. So this is really, really good. And congrats, by the way, on making that decision, because it is hard as a business owner to have clarity, I think, in what it is that you do, because there's so much
Now, when
noise.
did you decide that?
Yeah. What, the social media?
No, just
Oh.
that's an NLP somewhat inside joke. You said
Oh, okay.
it's hard to get clarity. Now, when did you decide that it's hard to get clarity?
Oh, right. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
one
yeah,
of
yeah.
those
Okay.
little mental things of like, wait, is it? Is it?
Yeah, get you. Okay, okay. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I have to say that there's something that stuck with me, and I'll get onto the clarity part. It's like if you confuse, you lose, right? So
Mm,
I think for me with that, that's what I heard, and I think it was like the simplicity scales, the fancy fails. That was another sort of term I came across in like this coaching world, and when I reflected on what I was doing with the business, I was confused because I was burning so many mental calories from sort of finding what, by doing research online and all that kind of stuff. I was so overcomplicating, overthinking, and I actually this is when I lost my identity in my business, that I actually didn't know who I was and what I was great at. I mean, this is not to be too much about me, but that's where I got the confusion. I was just sort of like scattered. I was chaotic. I genuinely, and it was interesting because I had somebody message me going, hey Lou, I've obviously followed you for a long while. I do really love the inspiration, but I don't know what you do anymore. Like,
mm,
what is it that you do? And I'll never forget that message. And I was just saying, sort of, for you to trial and test and then and have this clarity, I think is brilliant. But I wanted to ask you as well on that. So with the online world, because obviously this is, big at the moment. Obviously, COVID, after that pandemic, a lot of people sort of built these new models and a lot more opportunities came to light. What have you found, or what are you currently even facing as one of the biggest challenges right now with the business being online, if any, that is?
I think in general, the biggest online issue comes down to knowing how many different parts and pieces and jobs there are that are wrapped up into one thing if you are going to try to do it alone. I don't recommend it, and I don't think that I could do it if I was doing it all by myself, all alone forever, all of the things.
Yeah.
Because it's so much. There's copywriter, there's editor, there's website
Yeah.
designer, there's
Yeah.
website interface builder, there's funnel builder, there's all of the different things, and there's the email list and the automations and the social media and the making sure that you're actually keeping up with all of the things and parts and pieces, and all of that is not the work. It's all work, it's all necessary, it's all important, and it is all stuff that makes the other things happen. But when it comes down to it at the end of the day, I don't think of myself as a copywriter, and I am certainly not a website builder, and I am absolutely not a social media manager. Those are all other people's specialties. You said confusion fails. I was told, if it's not your genius, it's not your job. Just don't do it. If it's not what you actually specialized in, then you won't end up doing it as well as somebody who has already specialized in it, and you can be drilling down deeper and focusing on your thing while they do their thing, because they do it so much better than you do if you just let them. If you let them do that part, they will take care of it. And instead, you get to focus on doing your thing, which you have already specialized in and you know that you're really good at doing.
Yeah, you reminded me of the book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. I don't know if you've heard of that before, but really good. Yeah, so it talks about it talks about the zone of genius, the zone of excellence, or stuff like that. But it really on like dialing in. So I really just boom straight away pops my mind on that, and I do agree with that. So that's so just with at the moment then where you currently are, what would you say? Just for anybody sort of listening in, coming into this episode, obviously that they might be looking at starting their own business. Maybe it's an idea at the moment, the seed's planted. What is working well for you right now? What is sort of your key ingredient that's helping your mental mechanic business a success?
The number one thing for me is knowing how much to juggle. And there was an analogy that I was given very recently. I'm stealing from the internet again because I love the bounty of wisdom that everyone else has put out there. There are certain things that a person can juggle. And in most examples, when people think of juggling, they're thinking of little red rubber balls. Some of the things that you juggle are rubber and will bounce, and some of them are glass and they will shatter. If you miss the kids' baseball game, which is the example from so many 90s movies, because you were at the board meeting, then that ball will shatter. The kid will remember that forever. It doesn't matter how big the executive board meeting was. It matters that you weren't there for the game. You didn't see the moment where they won, or you weren't there to comfort them when they lost. And that hurts. And that sticks with them. If you miss out on something that's one of the rubber balls, that's fine, because you'll pick it back up. It'll bounce. It doesn't always matter. Not everything that gets your attention needs the same level of your focus, and not all of it is going to be the same level of importance. That's the really key distinction. So if somebody was thinking about starting a business, the first question I would ask is, what is it that you are going to do that you feel so called to do that even if you never made $1 ever, you would still think it was worth it because you tried to do it? What is it that you feel so deep in your soul you must try, you must make the attempt at, that doing that will feel free rather than feeling chained? Because everything that you do once you start moving in that direction will be chaining. There will be something that binds you up. There will be something else that hooks onto you. There will be something else that makes you feel like you have to carry this other thing too. And you have to be ready to endure all of those things, because that called to you so specifically that you had to do it. Because if you don't feel like you have to do it, maybe don't do it. If you don't feel like it calls to your soul and it will keep you full instead of pouring from an empty cup, maybe don't do it. Some of them are rubber, some of them are glass. Make sure you keep the glass balls in the air.
Yeah, great analogy, Scott. I really like that. Thank you for sharing it. And it did make me think about the movies, where you see the kids and they're looking in the crowd for their father and they're not there and they're doing something else. They're tied up. Yes, I'm a father. And yeah, I mean, I'm trying my best to not do that. And that really does hit the notes, hits the nerves, because it's so true. Well, look, we are getting towards the end of this episode. God, it's flew by. It always does. Great conversation. Honestly, it always does. I do want to ask you this question. It's second to last one, I think. I do ask every guest this one. And obviously, you're a man of thought. You've got a lot of power in this. I'd love to know, what does mastering your life mean to you, Scott?
Mastery over one's life means 3 different things at once. It means being able to entertain, because there must be those things that you enjoy and that you can share with others to bring joy. It means educating both yourself and others, because you should learn something and you should have wisdom to share. And elevating, because if you do not lift other people up, then you are by default pushing something down. You have to bring others with you on the journey. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're going, whatever happens, entertain, educate, elevate. That is the core of what I believe in.
The 3 E's.
That and balance above all else.
Yeah.
I think balance is probably the most important lesson that people don't remember or don't learn well enough for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Too extreme on anything tends to be the problem.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, the extremities of stuff. Yeah, then they soon get that little bit of a wake up call and learn. But honestly, I absolutely love it, Scott. Appreciate it. Look, if people are listening or even watching back on this and they want to connect with you, maybe drop you a message, where would be the best place for them to do that?
There's going to be multiple links in the description, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The number one place is my website, because that's something that I keep and maintain and has my contact information on it. Then there's the Facebook page for my business and the LinkedIn page, where I am also semi-active. I'm not great at social media, but I am present and working on it a little more. And yeah, by the time this launches, there will be more things on that website to catch people's attention and direct them to.
Yes, fantastic. So, well, listen, it'll all be there. So anybody sort of intrigued, wants to know more about you, they will be able to reach you via, like I say, your website. But look, final thing from me, I just want to say thank you for, coming on our show and being so open and sharing a lot of wisdom today. It's been really good. I've enjoyed it. I've learned a lot as well, actually. Learning is key, eh?
Thank you, Luke. It's been a delight. It's a wonderful time. You have a great show and a good platform. I look forward to seeing what comes of it.
Appreciate you, Scott.